Hi, please welcome to the part 12 of this video series. In this video series, we are looking at AZ 304 important exam questions. Like you have seen my previous videos, the focus should be on understanding the concepts. Even though same or similar questions will come in the exam, but please try to understand the concepts. Please subscribe to my channel for questions 1 through 77. Please refer parts 1 to 11 of this video series. Now let's look at question 78. Try to identify the keyword here. So for me, this is the keyword. So the story goes this way. Uh, Take an example of India. You have your financial calendar from March, and in the month of April, we get Form 16 issued. Form 16 is similar to Form W2 in US. It's used for filing the tax returns. Now this your company is storing it in some Azure blob storage, and throughout the month of April you will have access to it, and after that access is not required. That means users will have temporary access to these Form 16s. So for temporary access, always remember that SAS is the solution, shared access signatures. That's a thumb rule. Whenever you see temporary access, you should always use SAS. See, access keys we use if we want to access the storage via key. In this question, we do not need to use an access key. So conditional access policy, like I explained before, suppose it's a if then kind of stuff. Suppose you have a web app and you are accessing this in Europe. An external user should get multi-factor authentication request, so you can do it through conditional access policies. Here all users will need to access the blob storage in the month of April. There is no if then required. There is no use case where it says users from Bombay need to access it and users from Bangalore need not access it. There is no such requirement. If you see certificates, primarily why it is used is for data in motion. Your data is getting transferred from the Synapse Analytics database to the reporting tool, say Power BI. And when that transfer happens, when the data is in motion across the network and servers, certificates are used as they have public keys so that the data is encrypted while in motion. So in this case, there is no such need of encryption, and that's why certificates are of no use here. Now let's look at SAS. So you see this SAS, it provides restricted access rights to Azure storage resources. So this fits with our use case because we have Azure Blob Storage is again a storage, and you need to provide uh, restricted access which is for temporary basis. That means for the month of April, it's granting access to a resource for a specified period of time. So this is perfect. So let's lock this answer and move forward. Now let's look at this question. I have marked the keywords in red. So it's like, what is the story? So you have an existing web app which runs on a virtual machine. App is on a virtual machine, okay? So you need your app to be protected from SQL injection attempts. So I'll again give you a formula, a thumb rule that you should remember for the exams. Whenever you see SQL injection attempts, you have to block that. WAF is the answer. WAF is Web Application Firewall. So straight away, features, we get WAF as our answer. Simple. Another thumb rule I'll give you: whenever you see layer 7 load balancer, application gateway is the answer. See, in this set of options, these three, application gateway, load balancer, and traffic manager, all are load balancers. So what is the difference here? Application gateway is layer 7, load balancer is layer 4, and traffic manager does the load balancing based on DNS. That's the difference. So we got our two answers here. Now what is SSL offloading? So many times the SSL request has encryption. I mean, it's an encrypted SSL request, and there has to be an additional load to decrypt it before you read that information. If you don't want that, you can do SSL offloading so that there is no additional load of decrypting it. Is there any keyword here which talks about that? Nothing. That's why SSL offloading is wrong. And URL based content routing is, I'll give you an example. You have amazon.com and you can use that for buying products. So the moment you use that for buying products, it goes to a different uh, server pool. But if there is something like a help or a customer support, if you click that, it takes you to a different server pool in the background. That is done through URL based routing. The moment you click help for that URL, it takes you to a different backend server pool. Here there is no such requirement, and hence this answer will, or this option does not suit this use case. So this is our final answer. Now let's look at this question. I've marked the keywords here. This first piece is kind of useless. So basically the question says is you need to identify any objects in Active Directory that will fail the sync up. That means some sort of synchronization is happening between on-prem Active Directory and Azure AD. Okay, so there are two AD versions, one on-prem and one on Azure, and a sync is happening. Probably AD Connect is there, and what is happening is some objects fail that sync process, and you need to identify which are those objects. Okay, let's scan through the option one by one. So the first one is AD Connect Health. So like I told, AD is required if you want to sync up the AD on-prem with the AD on Azure. Now, Connect Health is a monitoring or is a monitor, I'd say, that is installed on the target. Okay, so if the sync up is happening from on-prem to Azure AD, then it will be installed on Azure AD. If the sync up is happening vice versa, then it will be installed on-prem. But this will not help you identify the failed objects. So if you see this documentation, the health monitoring, Connect Health, it provides a robust monitoring, and it also provides a central location in Azure portal to view this activity. So if you see Microsoft Office 365, so this ID fix, if you see this, it provides customers the ability to identify and remediate majority of object synchronization errors in the Active Directory forest in preparation for deployment to Office 365. And this is our answer, because this will help you identify failed objects during the synchronization phase. Now let's look at option C. So Azure Advisor is a security based, or it's a recommendation tool which guides you about your security posture. If it gives you recommendations, for example, that for certain regions you should enable MFA, so that security advice will come from advisor. It will not help you with the sync up failures, etc. So C is wrong. Now D, see, this one is used for migrating of passwords. If you are doing user migration in AD. If you want to do a password migration, then password export server is used. In this case, we do not have such requirements. We are talking about all objects which fail during sync up. Hence D is wrong. So we will lock this answer and move forward. So this is the question, and for me the keywords here would be all of these three. See, primarily what it's asking for the HTTP method. Since we are talking about public read-only options, so the get method would be uh, enough here. We don't need post because we do not. It says do not allow write operations. We do not want to write. Post is write, so we don't want this. And here also we have get, post, and options. We do not want post here. So the authorization level, since there is no requirements which says that some secured access and etc. is required, anonymous authorization level will work. Uh, if you see this, anonymous means no API key is required. Function means a function specific API key is required. This is the default. And then there is admin, that is a master key is required. In this case, uh, anonymous would suffice. So when you set anonymous, the authorization happens inside the code. Okay. This brings us to the end of this part. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next part of this video series.